Nearly 600 Roman coins have come out of this field in Surrey, not to mention 40-odd Roman brooches, this lovely little cockerel figure, there's these steel yard weights. Clearly the Romans were here, but what on earth were they doing? What could have generated so much stuff? And what about this thing? Some archaeologists think this is part of a sceptre. If it's a sceptre, it would have been held by a priest. If it was held by a priest, then we may have a temple. Although, forgive me if I'm a little sceptical about that. On Time Team, we don't have a very good track record of finding Roman temples. But you never know, maybe this site will buck the trend. We'll know in 3 days. The field in question runs along a major Roman road leading from London to Brighton. And yet surprisingly little's known about any settlements alongside it. We're here because of this man, David Hunt, who spent 15 years scouring this field, carefully mapping literally hundreds of fascinating finds. It is a lovely array of finds, Neil. Did they say temple to you?
Well, I think so, Tony. These are not the sort of things that are going to be dropped on a Roman pig farm, are they? You know, these are deliberate offerings which suggests giving things to the gods.
I don't see so much evidence for a temple yet. The easiest thing really is to say, what is this site not? It's not a Roman fort. It's not a Roman town. It's probably not a villa. That leaves a realm of other possibilities, like a shrine site, like a temple site. It could be just a street-side settlement. It's really up for grabs.
OK, we know what it's not, but whatever it is, do we know where to look for it?
Well, we do. Look at the distribution of the finds here, Tony, and two major concentrations.
John, you've cheated. You've already geophysed.
No, in fact, this was commissioned by English Heritage a few years ago, and it's got some really nice results. I mean, we've got all these field systems, and then these pit-like responses.
Where does this sit on this map, John?
That's the corner there. So you can see these pits here, they go with that coin concentration. And then we've also got these responses that match this area.
Have we got anything that looks remotely like a structure?
No, and that's what worries me in a way, is because this doesn't look like a settlement. You can't see buildings inside these enclosures. I think what we've got to find out, Tony, is this anything to do with the Romans? Are these Roman fields or pre-Roman fields? So I think what we're going to do is get a trench in early on, say across there and across there.
There's nothing on the geophys that looks like a building, let alone a temple. So we're going to use the latest equipment to have another look at the coins concentrations. But seeing as not everybody's convinced that there's a temple here at all, we're going to see if these features are anything to do with our Roman story.
Yo. It's always a good moment, isn't it, Phil?
That's just what I was thinking. It's that moment.
That first bucket in the ground, isn't it? And you just see below the surface.
Well, that's right. But, you know, look. No, you would not understand. You would not have that affinity with the soil like we do.
Oh.
Well, it's Roman and it's 4th century AD, isn't it? Classic, Neil.
It is.
Drop flange bowl.
It does coincide with that darker material. Oh, wow, look at that. They're two totally different colours, aren't they? Yeah. This stuff, which has got all the black stuff in it, that's where that piece of pottery came from.
Well, you can't ask for better than that. First hour of the dig, and we've already hit Roman archaeology. But most of David Hunt's finds were on the other side of the hedge, which makes that the most likely place for a Roman temple, which I'm told shouldn't be too difficult to identify.
Well, in Britain, virtually all the temples are very easy to spot archaeologically. They have a simple plan. It's 2 concentric square walls like that. Now, that's very easily reconstructed because there are some that are partly surviving. You've got a sort of central tower over the cellar, which is where the god lives. And around it, we've got a pitched roof and an ambulatory, a sort of corridor around the edge. Door there, windows at the top, something like that. And the temple precinct around it is where all the action happened, all the religious process went on outside here.
But you said earlier, if it's a religious site, there might not be any building at all.
Unfortunately, tragically, that's true. The kind of place that could be venerated would be something like a sacred pool. The god would be, or goddess would be seen to live in the pool, and that's where the offerings would be thrown. And another thing, for example, could be a sacred tree that was venerated, and that became the centre of worship.
So if it's a sacred tree, we're not going to find much, are we?
No, that is honestly going to be the problem, because clearly the tree would have gone, but hopefully a concentration of finds would give it away.
OK, I've got the results from our sample strip.
John's geophysicked the first coin concentration and thinks he's found something worth investigating.
But this just looks like an absolute mess to me. I mean, how can you tell features in amongst all of these other dots?
Look, have a look at
That's even worse.
it's not, it's not. This is just stray ferrous material across the field over there. At this end, you've got these much clearer, well-defined pit-like anomalies.
You're talking about this black here with the white around them?
Yes, it could be pits, it could be burning.
Well, that's great, isn't it? Because look, we've got 3 bits of evidence. We've got the geophysics, we've got the coin spread, and we've got this flashish area. So 3 bits all pointing to this part of the site.
Trench 2 goes in over these pits. If one of them was a shrine, we should expect a lot of small metal finds.
That's it. If we can spread it out a bit, they can metal detect better.
So a team of metal detectorists is going to make sure we don't miss a thing.
Nothing clear. Thank you, Ken.
Judging by David's finds, there was a lot more going on here than just religious activity.
Well, one of the functions, obviously, was buying and selling, because these are steelyard weights. You can see there's a loop at the top.
Yes.
They would have been moved along a bar.
To vary the weight.
That's right, to
yes.
weigh material. There's a small one here, ahead of the god Mercury. He was the god of traders. And this also would be connected with Mercury.
What's that?
This is a cockerel, most likely to have come from a group with Mercury and his attendant animals, which
I
are the
see.
ram and the cockerel.
Right.
And this is also very interesting. It could possibly have been a sceptre handle. Now, a sceptre in those days would have been the wand held by the officiating priest or member of the public who was acting as a priest.
So do you think that this could have been a temple site?
I think it's possible, but I think that we haven't found enough ritual material to make it absolutely certain.
I think it's a real mixed bag of messages, though, because a large amount of this material is just basically functional stuff. There's key handles. Now, you do get those on temples, but also people have to open doors with keys. The brooches, well, they could have been votive deposits, but they're all damaged. They could have ended up here as metalworking for recycling. And with all the steel yard weights and the fact that we're by the Roman road, I can still see this as being primarily a trading settlement, possibly with a ritual component, but really, it's all to play for, isn't it?
If we're looking for signs of Roman occupation, Phil's made a great start.
Another base. See, we got some first half, 2nd century Samian.
But you see, what I would go for is that.
Yeah.
Now, that is far more interesting. You see, that's a lovely bit of humble decoration, that is. There's the mark of the potter in that.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these big, thick, heavy rim storage jars.
That's my sort of pot.
Yeah, probably the end of an animal bird bone or something like that, just gone round,
But that's lovely.
The odd thing is that Phil's trench is a long way away from the Roman road where you'd expect to find the bulk of Roman activity, and there's nothing significant showing up on the geophys.
This is getting really, really gravelly up here now, look.
And Phil's got a lot more than just pottery.
Look at this. Look at these big stones. They're all lead flat, aren't they?
Yeah.
All lead flat, and it all sort of starts particularly about there. Look, listen to that.
That's loose. Yeah.
Loose and quiet, and this is and scrunchy. That's the edge of it. It does coincide with that trackway.
Phil might have a trackway along with a load of finds, but we still have no idea what kind of site this is. We're banking on our panel of coins experts to come up with some clues from the 600 found in these fields.
Well, they're certainly not a hoard of coins because they actually cover the whole period of Roman occupation in Britain, from this coin of Claudius, comes from the very first period of Roman invasion of Britain, right through to this coin of Arcadius of about 400 AD, right at the end of the period.
But what struck me looking at the coins, with all these ones from the early part of the period, is that these are mainly the £5 and £20 notes of their day. So the people weren't throwing away trivial amounts of cash, were they?
No, they weren't actually, and there's a really significant number of these silver coins, these Roman denarii, which are really quite valuable coins in their terms.
Looking at this great chronological spread, though, is it possible to discern any patterns within it?
Yeah, they're the wrong way round. Most sites in Britain have few early coins and a great bulge of late coins. So it's not an ordinary town because those start up, get going and carry on to the end. It's not an ordinary temple site because usually temples start off gently and you have a great wodge of 4th century coinage. But it could be a sort of shrine where people throw money in early on when the shrine's getting going, and then for some reason most of them just fizzle out.
And a lot of these coins come from the area of Trench 2.
There's a small sharp positive signal down here.
Oh, is there?
I can see it on the surface, eh?
Oh, it looks like copper alloy, doesn't it?
Can I come in the trench?
Yeah, yeah. Can you see it looks like a little brooch?
Can I take it out?
Well, it does look as though it's fairly loose.
Take this stuff away first.
That's it. It looks very small, doesn't it? It does. I wonder if it's complete.
Just this?
Yeah.
Let's have a look and see. It's easy coming away, anyway.
Yeah. It's very bound up with soil.
Brooches such as this were often broken and thrown into shrines as offerings to the gods.
Well, I think that must be the road.
Yes, yes.
There's a mystery developing in Trench 1, where Phil's trackway has turned into something more akin to a dual carriageway. But why would you need a major Roman road here when you've got one just a field away?
Where'd you say the front edge is?
Well, one edge is here, isn't it?
Right, so the other edge is... Yeah, it is actually coming down here, isn't it?
So it's a pretty
So
broad,
it
very wide.
it is, you know, almost does look like it's cambered.
That's very wide.
I mean, the only question you might ask is it actually a trackway? And how firm is identification of that as the actual Roman road? Is there any possibility this is the Roman road?
Well, I'd say if this is right, then it's only going to be about 5 or 6 metres wide.
What, you...
But how far's that? Where are you saying the edge is here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 metres wide?
But hang on. What we don't know is you might have a big wodge of it in the middle, which is really thick, which is what you're picking up, and it's actually spreading down. You've only got to have 2 metres spread on either side, and 5 metres wide becomes 9 metres wide. It doubles the width of it.
And how do you get to 11 then?
Well, OK, you know, but you see what I'm saying.
I mean, this is a whacking great road, isn't it? How do we know this isn't the Roman road and that's just a complete red herring? And who's ever heard of a settlement? Who would build a settlement 50 yards away from an existing road? And what's the point of that? I don't know.
If Neil's right, this is a major discovery and the maps will need to be redrawn. But before we get too excited, we need to see where the road might stretch beyond the trench.
Whee, that looks a bit meatier.
Phil's on the hunt for physical evidence of buildings to prove that this is a roadside settlement.
Whoa, look at that, there's another one there. Whoa, look at that. Whoa.
And this line of stones is looking promising.
Just take that bit out there, Ian. Beautiful job.
As afternoon wears on, Bridge is starting to see features clearly in Trench 2.
This is John's geophysics anomaly here. Right. You can see it looks like a pit that's been cut straight into the natural geology. And it's absolutely jam-packed full of pottery.
OK, anything else?
Come on up here, at pace. Can you see here on the far side against that section? Yeah. That looks like maybe a circular feature coming up. Straight in front of us here, we've got another one that's got lots of ash, charcoal flat, again, a load of pottery coming up. And where Sam is, we may be just about to have another one.
I guess the big question is, are these pits the source of the coins?
If so, these pits could have been used to make offerings to one of the numerous demanding Roman gods. I've been brought up going to school assembly and church twice a year at Christmas and Easter. So it's very difficult to imagine how the Romans would have worshipped.
That's because we live in a time when I think we all believe that we know exactly how the natural world functions, and so religion becomes a kind of boring background thing for many people today. But in antiquity, they didn't understand how the world worked in the same way, so everything around them, like this great storm that could drown us any minute, for example, would be driven by a god. The wood is going to be filled with gods. There's going to be a god of that ruined barn, the genius Loki. There's a god for almost everything, and they spend their whole time trying to have a relationship with those gods to make sure nasty things don't happen to them.
The weather gods are clearly none too pleased with us as we start to dig into the features in Trench 2. But the finds keep coming.
There we are. It's a 4th century bronze coin.
Oh, wow. That's from our pit fill as well. Fantastic.
Neil, what do you make of that? A pair of tweezers or something. It's got that shape to it.
It's certainly got the shape. Looks like a productive pit.
At the end of day 1, despite the rain and the sudden drop in temperature, Phil's mood in Trench 1 is positively sunny.
We've got the Roman settlement.
Where?
Well, in here, if you look, do you see, for example, we've got running up through there traces of a Roman ditch, but we're going to have to clean that up. But here where we have cleaned it up, look, it looks like we've got a big post hole in there, and a big post hole in there, and then at the back we've got this sort of cobbled surface. We might have timber buildings on this side. Now, as I come this way, you'll see that I'm coming on to this gravelled area. Now, we think that this gravelled area is actually a Roman road that is running right the way down and going down the hill. And as we come off, you'll see that the surface that I'm walking on is very black, and this is probably the remains of another building, and we've stripped the area back, and up here we've got the edge of it. You see here the soil is much lighter, and here where I'm standing it's much darker, and we think this is where the building is, and there's masses of stuff entering it.
Oh, it's been fabulous, and it's all consistent. It is all late 1st to 2nd century AD in date. So it's the same date as the bulk of the metalwork and the coins that have brought us here in the first place.
And it looks like it's quite a substantial settlement.
Oh, it does, it does.
So it looks like the gods might have been a bit nicer to us than I thought. Let's hope they're even more charming tomorrow.
Join a thriving worldwide community of Time Team fans on Patreon.
Our new target is to reach 15,000 worldwide supporters on Patreon by the end of 2025. This will enable us to continue expanding the Time Team world with more digs and greater access than ever before.
The weather gods are beaming down on day 2 in Surrey, where we're investigating the source of an extraordinary number of Roman finds. And we've already made a major discovery in the shape of a huge road and settlement.
Do you remember this trench was about finding a field system? A simple story. Are they Roman or are they not Roman?
Yeah.
What we found is this road. Now, not any ordinary little trackway, but 10 metres wide.
But I don't understand that. I thought the Roman road was the road that exists today on the far side of that field.
But that's a hypothesis. Just because it's on the Ordnance Survey map as a Roman road doesn't mean it has to be true. Surely we've actually found the real road here with a settlement either side of it.
But what are we going to do about that area over there where all those finds came up?
Well, it's still running, I think. Now, I don't believe the idea of this being a religious site is over at all. The finds are still very suggestive of religion, because maybe what you've got is a Roman road, buildings on either side, and behind that, the shrine or sanctuary.
Or maybe not. It's only the beginning of day 2.
Well, I'm very confident today, Tony.
But not all the experts are convinced that our road in Trench 1 is the old London to Brighton road.
You know, it's not impossible. You've got a sort of a loop road, and that is the road. This is a sort of a loop coming off it. So you've got some...
be unusual.
Well, it would be unusual.
And we're looking at the road from every available angle. Phil's looking for more buildings along the roadside.
The edge is still running. Right up through there.
And there are some beautiful finds coming up.
Well, it's the same one where, of course, that's from Gaul. I can tell by the size of the leaves and everything that's going to be well on into the 2nd century. Those things there, they mark the top of the decoration going round the band, and all the rest is probably from further down. It looks like it's the same bowl, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Trench 2 went in under a rich concentration of finds, suggesting it could have been the site of a shrine. Mark, this is like the forgotten trench. Everything's happening over there, and there's just a few of you beavering away here.
Maybe forgotten, but it's starting to turn up the goods. Ian's just started work on this pit, and it's been producing a lovely group of 1st century AD material. We've got this thing called a bead rim, which is a classic 1st century AD type. This is in a Romanised fabric, clay. But what's more interesting is that we've got a similar example here, which is handmade, which looks a lot more like a late Iron Age tradition.
Ian, it does seem a funny place to dig a pit. I mean, if this is all natural rock, you'd really be hacking away at it, wouldn't you?
Well, it depends. I mean, this is all gravel around here and it's chalk up on the hills. So if you've got any rock at all, you want it for hard standing, for building.
And then you chuck your rubbish in afterwards?
Yeah, stop your cows falling in.
What about the other end of the trench?
Well, the pit down there is certainly late Roman. That's been turning up nothing but 4th century AD material, typical of which are things like this thumping great rim from a big storage jar. Actually a very distinctive type made in the Alice Holt Forest on the Surrey-Hampshire border.
People seem to have been chucking things into these pits throughout the Roman period. But the challenge is to find out if they were rubbish or religious offerings. Geophys are now investigating the 2nd concentration of finds further up the field. The find that's most suggestive of the temple site is this possible sceptre handle. Archaeometallurgist Andrew Lacey is going to recreate what it might have looked like over 2,000 years ago. At the moment, he's making a clay mould to cast the head of Mercury for the top of the sceptre. Quite honestly, this looks to me like something my plumber would remove from the loft and say, no wonder you had a leak. Do we really know that it's anything religious?
Well, I completely agree. This one found here, just on its own, is just a lost handle. But there were 2 very similar objects found at Wanborough. Now, these were found buried in a pit right outside a temple, and we think that they're sceptre handles. Now, we know from other examples around the country that the shaft is made of wood or iron, and at the top end, if you imagine a little tiny head, a figure of an emperor or a god that would represent the deity that was being worshipped, and the priest goes around holding this sceptre. It's a kind of badge of office.
So it doesn't really have any function, it just says you're a big guy?
Yeah, it's like a swagger stick. The other thing is that the big man in the village, the magistrate, has to fulfil priestly duties. There's not really much in the way of career priest, if you like. That does exist, but the big boy round here has to go and be a priest, say, on Thursday afternoons.
So if Time Team was Roman, I'd have this?
Oh, yes, you'd be the chief priest. You'd have to officiate on Time Team's annual birthday or something like that. You know, you'd be Tony Robinson, the priest of Time Team.
I can handle that. In Trench 2, Bridge is wondering whether a layer of burnt clay in her pit might be indicative of some sort of ritual activity.
But I don't think it's an in-situ deposit. It looks like a dump. I mean, I wonder if there's been an oven or a kiln nearby.
I'm not prepared to agree with you fully on that. Having dug it, I mean, there's quite a difference between the material lying above it, sort of a more humic, charcoal-rich, cremated bone, to beneath it, we've got solid bits of animal long bone. I mean, I would like it to be evidence of some sort of reuse or change in use in which they are burning or heating up this area for perhaps slowly cooking something with all the animal bone about.
I think the only way we're going to find out, actually, is to leave that in section and carry on down.
It's getting near lunchtime. As you can see, it's still sunny, but the clouds are looking a bit threatening. We've been waiting to find out what might be at this top end of the field. And John, you've got the geophys already.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Look, that's Phil's trench down there with the Roman road in it. We've tracked it through that field. It comes right up here, over the old field boundary, and up to this point where we're stood. It then looks as though one arm might go off in this direction, and the other straight up the hill. So we might have a junction.
Well, that's a classic location for a Roman shrine, isn't it?
Which begs the question, what are these responses here?
And even better than that, look how it relates to the coins. It's right underneath the main concentration of early Roman coins.
Hang on, I don't want you to start getting me excited without just cause. Couldn't this just be rock? After all, we've had lots of little outcrops of rock in this field.
It's possible, but if you look at the magnetic results, there's the suggestion of wall lines in here.
So perhaps we do have a temple or shrine here after all. Phil heads up the hill to get Trench 3 underway.
You've made enough allowance outside the trench to get it?
Well, I wanted to make it surgical so you didn't have to do too much work. It's going to be a rock-cut shrine.
A rock-cut shrine.
Wow, you know. A huge ritual
Is that right? Yeah. To the great god Geo.
To the god Geo, yes.
With small red plastic ritual pegs placed around the shrine.
The Romans didn't build roads unless there was a good reason, so road junctions are prime locations for something important.
Now look, that's got lighter there. Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Now if that's perhaps, is that going to be where that feature's cut in from? Wait, what's that? Here we go, bit of base.
And Phil's confident that the archaeology is Roman.
And how wide is the feature, John?
Maybe 1.5 metres wide
So
initially.
We're talking about somewhere along here.
And I think we're going into a whole concentration of features as we go that way.
So there's definitely something large and Roman at the road junction. The question is what? Stuart's now traced the line of the road through the site and beyond into the landscape.
This is where our site is just here.
And he's found it lines up with another site towards London.
Now, can you see this line coming down here? This is where there has been a bit of a Roman road found in excavation. Ignore that, that's the modern bypass. Well, if you look at the line down the ridge, look how that line goes down there. There's the line of the main high street of the modern settlement. And that hedge line there is bang next to our Roman road. Look, it's a bang straight line.
I mean, that looks really convincing, doesn't it?
That's exactly the sort of route you'd expect from a major linking road. If you have another look from closer into the field, we've flipped round from south up to north. This is where the old Roman road was supposed to be, which kind of curved and wound its way around. It was never very satisfactory, but we have something now which makes perfect sense in a Roman context, crossing over the river and up to the top.
And if he's right, the road should continue to the north of our site as well. So in goes Trench 4. And we seem to have recruited a new digger.
Where's the road? Where's the road?
Bridge is having trouble finding the bottom of her pit in Trench 2, so Henry's brought in an auger.
That's pretty rocky, doesn't it?
It's getting more stony as we're going down.
And it's tough going. How deep are we now?
We've gone down an extra 1.5 metres, 1.60 something like that, as well as, how did you say this was, Bridge?
That's about 1.5.
So basically it's me standing on your shoulders.
Yeah, effectively. That's quite a big pit for something which is such a narrow diameter.
Yeah. One thing's for certain, the Romans must have had a very good reason for hacking through solid stone to construct what looks more like a shaft than a rubbish pit. And there's still no sign of the bottom when Phil calls me away to admire his work at the road junction.
We have just hit business here, Tony.
You're kidding, what have you got?
I mean, well, at the moment, I really don't know. But what we do have is a massive deposit of Roman material. Look, this sort of stuff I've been getting out, I've only just started coming through. Look at the size of these bits of pot and the freshness of them. I haven't got the foggiest idea what we're dealing with, but we have got masses and masses of it. At this end, you can see it's very, very black. But as we come through here, you can see there's this, it looks like sort of demolition rubble, this fired up clay. And then, of course, here, well, you see, it looks there as though we could have traces of some sort of wall, structure, furnace. I don't know what's going on. The thing is, it coincides with John's geophysics.
If it coincides with John's geophys that way, how big is it?
That would put it at about another 10 metres beyond the digger.
He's almost lost for words.
Yeah, I know.
You know, you just don't...
you don't come down on this sort of stuff. We started off there and there was just the first bit of pot, and then as it came back there was, oh my God, another bit of pot and then another bit of pot, and we started piling it into the trays, and it was just pot, and oh God, and then there's all this black stuff, and before you know it, oh my God, what have we got here? And I still don't know.
It looks like Phil's got his work cut out to make sense of this lot. Back to Bridges Trench, where she's drafted in Chris the landowner, conveniently a geologist, with a power auger.
That's 3 metres.
That's 3 metres.
Yeah, I think that's natural.
3 metres in 3 seconds. Just a little faster than Henry.
That's a natural.
Look at that. Got that little bit of weathering on top as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, the key for me is that I'm still not really seeing any reason for the pit to be here.
No.
Where is the archaeological material in it?
The finer sediment here, it looks like it's been wet in the bottom for some period of time for that build-up. But after that, it looks more like hill wash.
I think this is a well myself.
Yeah.
Where's your gut feeling? Why are you feeling that?
Well, because I believe water would be shallow. I think it would be coming out of this rock formation, and I think it would be accumulating in this pit. I think that's what it is.
And if it was a well, it could have been a sacred well. But we'll only know if we carry on digging down.
It's the same sort of design and construction as this back here.
So as evening draws in, Phil's trench is expanding and there are signs of a structure emerging.
Oh, there's some more there, look.
Over the last 2 days, we may have moved a Roman road and found a settlement, but the weather forecast for day 3's awful, and we're still nowhere near explaining the presence of the beautiful finds that brought us here in the first place. If ever we had need of the Roman rain god, it's now, which is why here you are. £2.99 a bottle. I hope he likes it.
If you'd like to see more episodes like this, you can make it happen.
Our new target is to reach 15,000 worldwide supporters on Patreon by the end of 2025. This will enable us to continue expanding the Time Team world. Enjoy front row seats for the greatest show on Earth and under it.
Beginning of day 3, and last night our stupid diggers dug up and drank the libation that I'd offered to the Roman god of weather, which is why it's not stopped raining all morning, and we've had to put this tent over the big trench. The good news is that Neil is so enthusiastic it's positively scary. Why the big grin?
Tony, in 2 days we found a previously unknown major Roman settlement. I mean, how much more do you want?
So is that job done? Does that explain why we had these mysterious scatters of finds all over this field?
No, that's the big question for today in this trench. And already, look, we've got this lovely child's bracelet come up.
It just looks like a bit of a wire to me.
No, it's decorated. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. So what is in this trench? Could it be a temple?
Well, who knows? At the moment, we need to clean this area back. It looks like it's full of finds, and see what's underneath.
Heavy rain's making life hard, and the pressure's on to get some answers to this complicated site. In the road trench, we're recording the lines of ditches and post holes before the rain washes them away. And it's beginning to look like the road and settlement stretch all the way down to Trench 4.
Is that a quern?
That is.
That certainly indicates there's some domestic activity around here still.
It does, doesn't it?
Used for grinding your corn to make your flour for baking. So
And this is all suggesting to this building activity settlement in this area.
that's
isn't
right,
it?
yes. I mean, we're certainly not beyond the limits of the site yet.
We've proved that this was a pretty extensive complex, but we're still searching for its religious centre. Are you still getting finds like you were last night as it started to taper off now?
No, it's even better than last night because, I mean, we've stopped getting so much pottery, but, I mean, it's still there. But what we're getting is just such a wonderful class of objects. I mean, Becky's working on this whacking great iron object. Now you've got to expose Becky. Have you got any idea what it is?
Well, there's been some suggestion about it being a spearhead. It's got quite a cylindrical, long shaft and then this heart-shaped end.
Is that just an old slab of stone, or is that something?
Watch this. I love this bit. Look, it's grooved. It's a quernstone.
That's lovely, isn't it?
But you see, it's not just a trench of objects, it's got some cracking archaeology, because look at this area of stones. Look, I mean, it's not just stones that have been piled in there. There's form, there's shape to it. But it's not just a piece of stone there. You can see there's real order in the layers beyond that, because you can see in there, we've got this big area of burning, and then beyond that again, right up in the corner of the trench, is very black. So there are really clear, defined layers. And I think if given a bit of time, we can sort of tease them apart, I think we're going to get some cracking archaeology.
It's quite a good trench, isn't
Oh, beautiful.
With less than a day to go, Bridge is in a quandary. She's going to have to dig over 3 metres down to prove that this isn't just a Roman rubbish pit, but is it worth it?
It looks to me like the most likely candidate for something ritual actually on the site. The local archaeologists are adamant that this is actually like things they've seen that are called ritual shafts.
I think the shape of it is very regular. The way it's been cut through this hard rock all suggests that they wanted to put this shaft here. And if we think of other Roman so-called ritual shafts, sometimes it may just have just a single object placed in the bottom at the centre, perhaps a skull, a piece of bone, or even a pot and some organic material.
It's how to dig it. What strategy do we employ? Because at the moment, we're at our maximum safe depths. I'd like to be able to retain the geology around the sides of it. And then if we actually take out the rest of that whole half, and then once we get down to the level that I'm at now, I can maintain that section again. I can run another section down, and we can get down to that 3 metres.
It's very fragile, sort of breaking up a bit at this end.
As Becky struggles to get the ironwork out of Trench 3, it's looking like it might not be a spear after all.
But this bit in the middle here is actually solid. There's no hollow end to it at all.
Which is very odd, isn't it, for a spearhead?
Yeah.
So are you saying it might not be a practical spear?
It looks to me more like an ornamental piece of ironwork.
Would they have had ornamental spears?
Well, you do get like model and votive spears on other temple sites. Hewley in Gloucestershire, for instance, has produced quite a few of them as sort of part of the general pattern of offerings.
You're using the T word again.
Yeah, I'm quite blatant about it.
What's the T word?
Temple.
We're digging more than 100 yards over there, so what on earth are we doing in this part of the site?
Well, this is much more, well, not more interesting, it's very interesting, guys. It's worth a trip up here.
Convince me.
Stuart's not convinced that this was a temple site at all. And true to form, he's been ferreting around on the edge of the site to come up with an alternative.
Crikey, all these lumps and bumps and ditches and gullies, it's completely different from the rest of the site, isn't it?
It is. Look at this here.
Wow.
Look, those are great big lumps of iron slag.
Look at the air bubbles in it. Industry, isn't it?
It is. I think these give us clues as to what's going on, because all these lumps and bumps in here seem to evidence some sort of industrial process.
Hang on, are you telling me it's Roman?
It could be, because you've got all the sort of ingredients you need for an industrial settlement. You've got iron ore coming up from the wheel along the Roman road.
Yeah.
You've got timber that you need for fires. You've got water in the valley. Yeah. You've got ironstone and clay. All the ingredients for a nice little industrial settlement.
And the Romans never miss a trick, do they?
And if there was ironworking on site, maybe the spear's an example of it.
Hey! Yeah, that's got it. Right. Now I'm going to pinch it there. Wasn't too bad, was it?
No. Let's have a closer look at it now. I tell you something, it's not a spearhead. It's far too thick. I think it's something ornamental. I'm not quite sure what it's from.
That was going to be my next question.
No, well, at least it's from a secure Roman context. Otherwise, you'd be very tempted to say it's a railing spike.
Wow.
It's an interesting object.
Interesting it may be, but it's not getting us any nearer our temple. Just after lunch, the rain started tipping down in earnest. Will we be able to get to the bottom of Bridge's pit before it gets dark in about 3 hours' time? And even if we do, will it fill up with water again before we have a chance to look at it properly?
Well, I hope so. Look, I tell you what, we've come back full of food, we're full of vigour. I found Matt, and we're both going to go down and look, 15 minutes in, we're nearly there.
You haven't done badly. Yesterday, we found a huge Roman road a field away from where it was supposed to be. But before the cartographers redraw the maps, we're confirming its course up the hill. And so far, Helen's found 2 roadside ditches.
So is it a road or isn't it a road?
Well, There's lots and lots of Roman material coming out of both ditches. But in between, it just looks a bit insubstantial.
Yeah, the narrowness does puzzle me.
It doesn't worry me at all, really, because look how close we are to the surface. This is going to be continually hit by the plough and disturbed and churned up. No, this looks all right for me for a road on this axis coming through here.
I mean, I think it's good. I mean, we've got it at this point here, if you believe it. We've traced it over 300-400 metres. The only one problem is it seems to stop there, where that hollow cuts across.
Again, that doesn't worry me because that hollow is absolutely typical of gravel extraction, so I think it's probably just been taken out.
So you two guys are really positive about this road?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's good enough for me, then.
There's now no doubt that this was a major Roman road.
Is it a coin?
I think so.
And we found signs of occupation in all our trenches along it. But what's troubling is that the only evidence of actual buildings is in Trench 1. But Guy's got a theory.
I think I have got an idea.
Come on then, inspire me.
Well, we have got an ordinary settlement by the road at a river crossing, which is exactly what you'd expect anywhere in Roman Britain. What makes this place different, though, is I think it was a market or a fair site. We're on a tribal boundary, so over to the east we've got the Cantiarchi, over to the west we've got the Atrebates. We know from other places that these tribal peoples would meet in certain places on an annual basis or an occasional basis for trading. It's social and economic. And so that's why we've got all these little metal finds like the coins and things around here, but very little trace of buildings. What this hillside would have looked like on one of those market days, you can imagine, is it covered in tents and bivouacs and carts of people doing all their business and that kind of thing. And then perhaps the day after, it's all gone. Just back to the little settlement.
But what about this religious element?
Well, these festivals took place on dates in the religious calendar, just as they did all the way into Christian times, through the Middle Ages and up to early modern times. Things like St. Bartholomew's Fair or St. Margaret's Fair. It's a Roman equivalent. So just imagine the people here doing their bartering and trading and dropping their bits and pieces, but also taking part in a religious festival as well.
Sounds a bit like a car boot sale to me.
A Roman chariot boot sale, I think.
If our Roman revellers were meeting at a shrine, there's no sign of it at the road junction.
The floor of this thing is very, very heavily burnt and slightly dished.
Where the archaeology looks more like a furnace.
It actually comes right out to there. Right out to there, look. And it's made out of these reused tiles.
So there's no sign of a shrine in Phil's trench, but at last Bridges' hard slog seems to have paid off. She thinks she's found signs of ritual activity in a layer of animal bone.
Where Ian is, you can see there's a really large animal jaw coming up.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything like that before within pits?
Yes. That looks like a horse jaw as well, which is even more significant because in this part of England, central southern England, southeastern England, there's a tradition that actually starts before the Roman conquest in the Iron Age of burying horse heads and horse jaws in pits.
Just above this deposit, of course, we had that layer of burning and all of the bone has been found underneath that.
Yes.
Do you know of sites where they've perhaps sealed off pits if they have been used for ritual purposes?
Yeah. I can think of a number that are both Iron Age and Roman where you might get a deposit of animal bone or pots, then you get like a lens of clay or perhaps some organic material, perhaps then a sterile layer, and then you start the sequence again. And I think this is looking very promising in terms of our interpretation of this being a ritual shaft.
So it's possible that this animal jawbone was an offering to the gods, and under it could be layers and layers of previous offerings. All we need is another layer of burning to prove it, and there's still 1.5 meters to go in this pit. It's becoming a race against time to make sense of the archaeology before rain stops play.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Demoralising. What is pouring in here now?
What about the archaeology?
What about it? It's suffering. I mean, it's very good.
Phil's now found 4 edges to his furnace, but one of them's puzzling him.
But this looks like a really good edge.
Well, I know.
I mean, you kind of feel that should be the wall.
I know, but then you see this edge here is still very, very highly fired. So this burning would be actually underneath the wall, whereas on this side, the burning stops at the wall. So, you're the Roman expert. Is it possible that actually what we're looking at is something with a stone base, and then actually heaped up on the top of it is actually a clay-built structure with a floor maybe just above the raised floor?
So maybe that's what collapsed superstructure
Well,
rather than the base.
that's what I was wondering.
Well, that would sort out the problem with the wall then, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
This could well have been a corn dryer. And it was just one feature within a whole mass of geophysical anomalies. So perhaps this road junction was the site of a collection of industrial buildings.
But why were there coins on top of it?
Well, what's here seems to be industrial activity. It seems very utilitarian, and it's strange because this looks like quite an important spot here next to the road. If you're going to push me for an explanation, I guess all I could offer you is those coins still look to me like they come from a shrine or a temple or something. Maybe sometime they cleaned out the temple, took all the rubbish out and dumped it over these abandoned buildings, and that's why the coins were here.
Guy, you're the dissident pulling dissident faces while he was speaking.
Well, I've never heard of the Romans being so considerate that they pick all the contents out of a temple and bring them over here where we might find them, so we'd know there was a temple here or somewhere else. No, but look, really, as Mark says, we've had a real result. We've got a site that sums up what made Roman Britain different from the Britain before and afterwards. We've got the industry, we've got some ritual activity going on here, but we've also probably got a thriving market or fair centre, a temporary type of site where people come in at seasonal events.
But we're not quite done here. And with the light fading fast, all eyes turn to Trench 2, where the final piece of the religious jigsaw is falling into place.
That's just off the burning.
You've got a burnt layer down there?
Yep.
But that's interesting though, because that's our second layer of burning.
The burnt layer suggests that offerings were made to the gods and then sealed with the remains of a bonfire or feast. The late Roman pottery tells us that the pit went out of use in the middle of the 4th century when pagan worship was made illegal. So maybe our superstitious Roman chariot boot sailors made one final offering before sealing up the pit forever. Until we came along. But before we leave, the replica of the sceptre that brought us here in the first place is ready, and I've got one final duty to perform in my capacity as priest of Time Team.
Feel powerful?
Fairly, is this all I need?
No, I'm afraid not. I've got this lovely headdress for you. Now, this is actually copied from a real one found not very far away from here on a temple site. So it's only appropriate that you don it. There we go. Time Team's finest sartorial moment.
Just remind me again why I'm doing all this.
Well, I think you're going to be a priest of the cult of Mercury, who I think is the most appropriate god for this location, because we've got all the trade and commerce along here. So what could be a better god for the inhabitants here to celebrate?
So what do I have to do?
Well, you're going to sprinkle some water sacred to Mercury over the goods that you're just about to sell on to your unsuspecting customers.
Right.
Off you go.
Yeah.
Oh, incidentally, he's also the god of thieves and vagabonds.
Thanks, mate. Join Time Team on Patreon to access exclusive 3D models, masterclasses and behind-the-scenes insights.